Hello and welcome to this new video in the R Analytics course. In the previous video we had seen how to work on a data frame using the dplyr package. We saw many functions in the dplyr package which helped us tackle both numeric and text data. In many situations, while dealing with data sets or conducting analysis, one might have to handle a lot of conditions. In this video, we will look at this aspect in depth, that is, how to run conditional processes in R. There are two functions which deal with conditions in R: if and if else. The if function can take only one value as the argument. Suppose we have a column with multiple values in it. So if we want to conduct a conditional analysis on it, then the if function would not work since it can take only one value in the argument. To make it work, we will have to use some operators. The if-else function, on the other hand, can take multiple values as the argument. Thus, it can take the whole range of values in a variable as an argument. Let us now look at the usage of these two functions in R. Suppose we define a is equal to 10. Let us understand the syntax for the if function first. We write if followed by a bracket in which we will mention the condition on which we want to test. Then in curly brackets we will mention the result we want if the condition is true, and then else followed by the value if the condition is false. So we write the condition first, then the value if true, and then following the word else, the value if false. Let us now write it for the variable a. If a is greater than 5 is the condition. If this condition is true, then we ask R to print good marks, and if the condition is false, then print poor marks. As we press enter, we get the result as good marks since a is greater than 5. We can check if the if function is working fine or not by changing the value of a to 3. We can see the output we get now is poor marks. Thus, this is how one uses the if function to check for on a single value. Let us keep a is equal to 10, and now we will try and test for more than one condition. The case we have in front of us is that if the value of a is less than 3, then it is poor. If it is greater than 3 and less than 7, then okay. And if the value is greater than equal to 7, then it is good. Thus, we now have three conditions to test on. To execute this in R, we write if the first condition of a is less than 3 in brackets, followed by print poor in curly brackets. So basically, till now we have written that if a is less than 3, then print poor. Now we have to tell R that if the condition is false, then what? Here we have two situations. A may be less than 7 or more than it. To take that into account, we will write else if. This is because we have to check the value once again, whether it is less than 7 or more than 7. We write a is less than 7 in brackets, then OK in curly brackets, and following else we write good. As we press enter, we get an error because we haven't closed the brackets properly. Now when we do, we get the answer as good since a is equal to 10. Let us understand what happened here. R checked the first condition of A is less than 3 and found it to be false. It then shifted to the second condition of A less than 7, which again was untrue. Thus, the result was given to us as good. R checks the first condition first, and had that been true, it would have given us the result as poor and not checked the rest of the code. Thus, it moves sequentially from one condition to the other till the time a condition does not turn out to be true. We can see that if we change the value of A to 2 and check for this code, we get the output as poor. We can keep checking this with different values of A to make sure that the if function is working perfectly or not. This is how we use the if function to test multiple conditions on a single value. What if we have a situation where we have to test a condition based on two values? For example, a student has marks of 7 and 8 for maths and English respectively. The condition we have to check is that if the marks in maths is greater than 7 and marks in English is also greater than 7, then the output must be very good, else it should be average. The moment we press enter, we get the answer as average because the marks in maths are 7 and not greater than 7. If we change this condition to greater than equal to, then we can see that the output comes out to be very good. This is how we use the AND operator with the if function. As mentioned in the previous video, in the AND operator both the conditions need to be satisfied to get the true value, else we will always get the false value as the output. We can also use the OR operator. For that we write if maths is greater than 7, followed by the pipe symbol, and then English is greater than 7. If the student gets greater than 7 in either of them, then the output should be very good, else it should be average. As we press enter, we get the result as very good since the marks were 7 and 8. Thus, the second condition got satisfied. Hence, in the OR operator, even if one condition is satisfied, we get the output as true. Now let us try and use the if function on a vector. We write qt is equal to combination of the following values. As we execute qt, we get the output as expected. The condition we want to test is if qt is greater than 5, then print check, else print don't check. As we press enter, we get a warning message stating that the condition has length of more than 1, and if we continue, then only the first element will be used to test the condition. The output has come as don't check because the first value in the vector is 2, which is less than 5. As mentioned earlier, the if function can take only one value in the argument, which here was 2 since it was the first element in the vector qt. Thus, if we want to check for all the values in qt, then we have to mention an operator any in the code over here. This means that if any value in qt is greater than 5, then give the output as check, else give it as don't check. As we press enter now, we get the output as check since there are many values in qt which are greater than 5. Instead of using the if function, it is better for us to use the if-else function in case of vectors being tested. The syntax of the if-else function is written like this. if else followed by the condition, true value, and then the false value. This function is the exact same as the if function of MS Excel. The only difference is that in Excel we do not write the else word. Therefore, to test our condition, we write if else qt greater than 5, then we want the output to be check, otherwise, the result should be don't check. The moment we press enter, we get an output for each element of the vector. The function checks every element of the vector and then gives us the result for every element. Thus, this is how we use if and if else functions to test conditions on data sets. We will look at the usage of these functions in a real life data in the next video. Thank you.